A Million Years in a Day, a curious history of everyday life from the Stone Age to the Phone Age. Written by Greg Jenner and read by me, Greg Jenner. Introduction. If I had to guess, I'd say you're probably sitting down right now. Perhaps you're in that bountifully upholstered armchair. Or maybe you're the archetypal sofa slumper, sprawled inelegantly across a couch designed for three. Maybe you're in your car. Of course, if you're anything like me, you're reading this standing up on an overcrowded and overpriced commuter train, your face hovering barely inches from a stranger's sweat-dampened armpit while you shuttle between your home and your workplace. But I bet I can guess where you're not listening to this. I bet you're not in a cave. Though it boggles the mind to truly contemplate it, you and I are no different anatomically from people who lived 30,000 years ago. While we delight in cartoonish portrayals of people we might dub Ugg and Nug, smashing each other over the heads with clubs and dragging women around like they're wheelie bins, the truth is rather more nuanced. For starters, they weren't grunting numpties. In fact, they had the full faculty of language, the intellect to solve problems, the urge to protect their loved ones and bury their mourned-for dead. They were, in every regard, modern humans like you or me. Yet our lives are hugely different from theirs. So how do we end up living as we do now? Well, just look around you. Every single aspect of your life is the byproduct of history, thousands of years in the making. Have a wander around your home, and a lot will appear unquestionably recent at first glance. But there's an extraordinary legacy to everything. Look at the clock on your wall. Have you ever stopped to consider who first attempted to measure time, and how they may have done it? Or why some countries change the clocks in the summer? Consider the books on your shelf. These were invented 2,000 years ago and would be recognisable to St. Paul or Emperor Nero. And these words I'm reading are written in an alphabet that evolved over millennia from the prototype created by the ancient Phoenicians, following in a communication tradition that extended back through hieroglyphs and cuneiform impressed wax tablets all the way to the earliest prehistoric doodles on the walls of caves. The food in your cupboards comes from all over the world and might once have only been recognisable to the Aztecs. The clothes in your wardrobe might be woven from fabrics first planted 5,000 years ago in ancient India, and your bed sheets could have a lot in common with the linen underpants worn by King Tutankhamun in the distant Bronze Age. Every day of our lives, most of us rotate through the same ritual habits that humans have been repeating for millennia. Getting out of bed, going to the toilet, grabbing some breakfast, washing our bodies, walking the dog, choosing our clothes, telling the time, communicating with others, eating together, having a drink, cleaning our teeth, getting into bed, and setting the alarm clock. All of these daily events bring with them a story written over countless generations by our predecessors. I've scribbled this book as if it were describing the routine events of a modern Saturday, with each chapter focusing on a distinct activity that you might find familiar. But I've used that to spring backwards into the past to explore where these routines came from. Though it's surprising to imagine that we have anything in common with Stone Age cave loiterers, the things we do every day are the things we've pretty much always done. We tend to think of cavemen as shuffling idiots when we compare them with us. But could they have worked an iPhone or driven a car? Surprisingly, yes, if someone had shown them how. Alas, they were doomed by circumstance never to enjoy a joyride in a finely engineered Mercedes, or secretly listen to Bon Jovi's greatest hits on a train while pretending to read Madame Bovary. Because while we reside in the latest chapter of the epic human story, they were scrabbling around in the boring bit at the beginning, where the author thanks their colleagues and the family members and the person who does the typesetting. So this book, in some small way, partly aims to rehabilitate the reputation of our ancestors, while answering long-held questions about why your life is the way it is. That's not to say there won't be moments where we roll our eyes in wonderment at the weirdness of the past, and I've tried to find humour in our differences. But I hope, above all, that you'll be astonished at how much we have in common with those who lived and died centuries or even millennia ago. Ultimately, this is a book about you and me, but it just happens to be mostly set in the past.